Hello friends, myself Vinod Pillai. By profession, I'm a lecturer, and in today's session, I'm going to teach you how to develop a simple web application using Java. For any queries regarding my application development or anything, you can contact me at my email address vinodthebest@gmail.com, or else you can place comments under my video. Let's get into the web application development. For developing an application in Java, you specifically require some of the softwares prerequisites. The softwares are I've already downloaded. One is we require JDK, the Java one, and we require an application server or a server which will handle all the requests, because ultimately we are developing a web-based application. For my application, I'm going to use the Tomcat because it's one of the, you can consider, the most used software, and it is an open source and one of the most famous softwares. To get these softwares, as both of them are open source, simply go to the particular website that is for the Tomcat. Okay, tomcatapache.org.com/this thing, and you can select the appropriate versions you would like to have. And for Java, you can get this thing. It's very simple. If you don't remember it, just go to the Google and type download Apache Tomcat, and you will get something like this, and you select it, you'll get into the website. I hope so you are having these softwares. The next step is, I've downloaded the zip file. You can have many different formats, exe format and all those things. I'm preferring you should go for the zip format. It's more preferred one. Once you got the zip format, unzip it into the folder where you would like to have the application to be developed. In my case, I've unzipped in the C folder Apache Tomcat. Now to set up these things, you require some more things. So the procedure will be something like this. First, you have to get these all softwares we have already done. Second, we have to install it. So first we will install Java, and third we will unzip the Tomcat. Fourth, we have to do some configuration. Okay, and finally we will develop it, an application. Okay, so I hope so I've done it. I've already installed Java. It's simply the next, nothing else you have to do. Tomcat unzip is also I've done it. Now the configuration part, that is a little bit you have to take care about it. For that, what you have to do, I've just created a file, you've unzipped it. You have to set some of the environment variables. Now the environment variables, I hope so you understand how to set it. My computers, right click, properties. This is Windows 7. It's quite different from XP, but you will get something same screen when you do like that. Get an advanced environment variable and required environment variables you have to set, like the Catalina home and all those things. I'll just explain what those things are. I may be quite quick for the configuration one, but you have to just follow this screen what all things is being done. First thing, you have to create an environment variable called Catalina_home. Okay, in that you have to specify the folder where you are having the Apache Tomcat. Okay, so in my case it's a C drive, so I have to just do it in a C drive, and all I've specified. Second, I have to create Java home. There I will specify where my Java is being installed. That's a JDK one, not the JRE. We have to do the path. In that we have to specify the bin folder of the Tomcat. If you unzip the Tomcat, you'll get something called a bin folder. You have to just specify this path. Okay, so that's been done, I hope so. And finally, we have to do the class path, because we are going to import some of the classes which is being stored in these class path locations. So it is not quite tough. Again, you have to unzip go to the folder in Apache, go to the lib folder. There are multiple jar files are there. The one which we require is something called servlet-api.jar file. That's for the servlet, and second is for JSP. Just put those things in your class path also. By doing this much, almost you are done it. Now you have to do some modification in the configuration in the Tomcat users file. Okay, this is basically to allow the Tomcat to access in the manager role. Okay, this is for the Tomcat 6 So I've specified this particular line, and this file you will be getting. Again, you go to the Apache Tomcat 6.0. In the config file there will be something called as Tomcat and dash users. Right click it, open with any of them. Okay, I've just using Tomcat Notepad++. I'm opening it. Open in any of the editors and try to find the particular line. I think so. Okay, it will be open something like this. Okay, and the Tomcat just had this particular line. This is saying that you're creating a new username is admin, and the password I'm putting it's blank, and the role will be Tomcat and manager. By doing so, you're almost done for the Tomcat configuration. Now next thing is, so we can say that we have completed this part also. Configuration is all done. Now let's start developing an application to test whether our Tomcat is running or not, or installed properly. So we have to first start the Tomcat. So go to the command prompt, simply write startup. Something, you will get some commands like this from where the Tomcat is being running, and you'll get a different command prompt specifying a Tomcat. Just minimize it. Okay, and it says Tomcat application server started by this many milliseconds. Just minimize it, and to test it whether it has successfully been done or not, just go to here, type http:// localhost 8080, and if you get something like a screen, you can say that Tomcat is being installed properly. And if you go to here Tomcat and you just select admin, you should get a screen something like this. You can say you have the user, or the one file which you have created is finally been done. So the user part is also been done. So configuration is done. Now let's develop the application in Tomcat. Now go to the folder from where you have installed the Apache Tomcat 6.0. In that there is a folder called web apps. This is a folder which we will be using for our entire application to store all our files and everything. So right click it, create the new folder. Okay, now here you can give any app name. I'm just putting application. Okay, in this folder you will be storing all the contents. Now for developing a web application in Java, you have to follow some folder structure. Okay, that is, the first folder will be the application folder. In that folder you will have a folder called webinf. Inside it you will have another folder called classes. Okay, inside in this you will be storing all the class files. In this folder you will have one more file called web.xml. I'll just save it in the web apps. In the webinf I'll just store it web.xml for the time being. Okay, in this will be something like a configuration file. You will have one more file where I'll be storing, inside this I'll be storing my class file. Okay, for the timing I just simply create a HTML file, and I'll try to call it with the help of, okay, I hope so you understand basic HTML. Okay, I've just simply created an HTML. Okay, all the HTML files will be stored under your main folder. That's window we know the first application, whatever the file name you have given. I'm just, for the time being, I'm giving index.html. You can give any name. I prefer index.html because this is my home page. Okay, so that's been done. Index.html is done. Now comes the web apps. In the web.xml you have to specify certain things. That is the web configuration file. Okay, and third thing you require, this configuration file is basically required for the servlet. Now there are two major parts. The one is the servlet, and second is JSP. Servlet and JSP, Java Server Pages, the full form of JSP. They are the two major parts with the help of which we can develop the web applications. Now Servlet, you can in a simple way, for the time being, you can say a page will take all the requests from the user and do the processing, and for time being, for the time period, it will only display the result. At the later stage, we'll see that in the servlet we'll do only the processing part, and with the JSP we'll be doing major portion regarding the display. Okay, for the timing, just understand this much: servlet can do all the tasks, but what we should try to do with servlet is simply the getting the request, processing the request, and calling and storing the data in the beans. We'll see what's beans and all those things, and transferring the data to the JSP, and JSP should do the minimal processing part and should concentrate more towards how to display the contents. So something like, in simple way, we can say JSP is a display one and servlet is for the processing one, but that's not the exact definition. That's just for the time being, just to understand you people to easily, I'm specifying that. Okay, so will not learn JSP right now. We'll just see the servlet part. Okay, we'll see at the later stage how to develop a JSP. Okay, for the timing, we'll just see the servlet only. So I'm just telling about servlet, how to develop a servlet. You require some of the things to be import java.io.star. That's the first thing. Import java x.servlet.star. Import java x.servlet.http.star. To create a public class, my servlet extends http servlet. By default, it's having two methods. I'm just concentrating for the time being the one public void do get, takes two argument, http servlet request, http servlet response. Throws IO exception and servlet exception. Just to do it, print writer out is equal to response dot get writer. I'll explain later once we get the output. Okay, so we have almost done it. Let's save it. In saving, we'll just go to the Apache Tomcat 6 in my folder, that's web apps. Inside the web apps, my Vinod first application, webinf. In the classes, I'll just save it by this name .java. Okay, step number 2, I've created the HTML5, I created the web.xml, but I have not entered anything. I've created my servlet. Okay, I'll try to compile my servlet. Okay, I'll just go into the cd/. Inside this, I can see this java c. Okay, it's been compiled and it has created the class file that I can see it. Okay, now my first task is done, HTML file has been done. Now comes the web.xml. I have to do some entry in the web.xml. The web.xml is basically something like a mapping one. All the requests from the index.html goes to the Tomcat server. Okay, the Tomcat server will check the request for a request and pass it to the application folder, that's my Vinod first application folder, and it will go the request to the web.xml. Okay, now web.xml requires certain things to be done. Okay, I'll not type all those things, it will take some time. Okay, for the timing, I just show you exactly what is there and what it means, all those things. Okay, Okay, now web apps, servlet slash servlet, servlet mapping, and servlet mapping. Now these are the things you should know it, that in the servlet just copy the name. Okay, in the web.xml specify in the servlet class whatever exactly the servlet class name is. If you're going with package, you can specify the package name dot and the my servlet name. I'll just not do the package right now. I'll just try to run a simple application. Okay, now the servlet name you can specify anything, that is simple application for the time being. Whatever name you specify in the servlet name, that should match with the servlet name in the servlet mapping. Okay, so I'll just paste here exactly what I've typed there. Okay, and it's been done. Now in the URL pattern you can specify anything. Okay, the what you would like to call this servlet by. Okay, for my timing I'll just call it by first application. Okay, this should be exactly the same in the URL, or you can say in the forms action. Okay, so it will be something like this, that you're having an HTML file that calls the web.xml, it checks in the URL pattern. Okay, it finds a match, and then it goes to the servlet name. Okay, it just checks over here, it finds the appropriate, and it calls the appropriate servlet class. Okay, so it goes something like this. This being got first, then it goes here, it comes second, it finds a matching for this here, it gets the second, again third position, and this will be called at the fourth position. So we're getting into the class. That's the simple steps. Okay, for the time being you can do something like that. You can just paste my servlet everywhere, so it will still work it out, but you should know the what exactly is trying to be done. So we are done with almost all the procedures, and just let's see what we have done it till now. I just went into the web apps, my Apache Tomcat, I went in the web apps, I've created a simple folder, the first application, and I can see index.html, I can see web.inf, web.xml file is here, classes folder is there, and it's having java and .class file also. So everything, I think so, it looks fine. Let's try to run it out. So Tomcat is already been running. Okay, so if you're not knowing, this is the Tomcat running stage. You go to Tomcat manager. First time it may ask you the username and password, and you can see a folder over here. I just stop it, and I'll again start it. Okay, and try to run it. Okay, you can see it. I can see a simple hello message. This is a message being returned by the index.html. Okay, and I tried to paste it first application, and if you see this message, this is the message I'm getting from my servlet. Okay, so this is my first simple servlet I've created. Now the question comes, as I've told you, that I'll be explaining the servlet once I run it. So it's been running, so everything works fine. I can check it out. Now let's see what code I've written. Web.xml, I can understand what I've said. That's it. If you have multiple servlet, you have to repeat these steps again and again for a number of servlets, as many servlets you are having it. Okay, now what is all these things? Okay, basically we are developing a servlet, but we are following HTTP servlet. Servlet is being created a general one that's been providing java.x.servlet. Each and every servlet has to implement directly or indirectly the servlet interface. So what we are doing is basically we are extending the HTTP servlet, and HTTP servlet has indirectly access the servlet interface. So we don't go too deep in that, but ultimately we are doing that task with the help of HTTP servlet. So we have to simply extend the HTTP servlet. Okay, and we have to create a public class. The class name should be something like this. Anything can be there. We require, because we are accessing this HTTP, so it should be javax.servlet or HTTP, as it is throwing servlet and exceptions and all. So we have to import javax.servlet. As we are having java IO, we require this also. Print writer has been one of the part of IO, and IO exception is been thrown. Now basically it's having two methods, do get and to post. Okay, if you don't specify anything, by default the form will take the get method, and the do get method will be called. We are having a same something like this copy of do post also. That's only difference is it's do post. Okay, I hope so you understand what's the difference between get and post. Okay, if you don't specify, it's get, most secure is post, and all those difference will be same here also. Now the do get method takes two arguments, that's HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response. Whatever the user types, will be stored in the request object. We are not trying now to access anything, but if you want to send something to the client, or you want to send some message as a response, you have to use the response. To print anything on the screen, you have to use response.getWriter. By that you can get an object of print writer, and you can say out.println that the message whatever you typed here will be printed on the screen. That's as simple as that, and you can go for get or post, any of them. I hope so this you can understand, and this is our simple first application where we have tried to run the HTML and we have tried to run the servlet, and it's been successfully be done. I hope so you have understood. These are the major tasks what we are planning. Okay, we plan to do something like that, to develop an application and try to run it, and this is done with our simple web application development using the servlet. In the second stage we'll see further what all the things are there in the servlet. I hope so you can understand this video. Thank you, and if you have any comments, please post into my video or you can email me. Thank you.